Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly. This is The Real Sports Talk. If you guys are watching this, this means that I'm enjoying my first vacation from The Real Sports Talk and my life in general. In a couple years, I'm off at Rehoboth in Delaware at the beach, and then in a couple weeks I'm going to be going with a few of my friends down to Orlando in Florida. So over the course of those 2 weeks, what you're going to get, you've already seen a couple special videos this week, countdown video. You're going to get another comparison video later on this week. But what you're going to get out of this video is the most in-depth LeBron James versus Michael Jordan age 28 comparison on the internet. It's not just going to be a chart. It's not just going to be rings and MVPs and scoring titles. It's not just going to be that. It will be everything brought together. The first thing I want to say is that before it's all said and done, do I think LeBron James is going to be better than Michael Jordan? No, I do not. Do I think that having the discussion is blasphemous? No, I do not. I fall somewhere in between, and I can't stand really either of the sides that think, oh, LeBron James is going to be the best player that ever lived. I don't agree with that, and most of the people that say that have no factual basis for what they're actually saying and have probably never watched a game that Michael Jordan's actually played in. And then I also hate the people that live... And I don't want to say that just because you think Michael Jordan's better than LeBron James, you live in the past, because I think that too. But I hate the people that are unwilling to think that someone could ever be better than Michael Jordan, and they completely dismiss it without doing the research. That's something that I've done here, is I've done a ton of research, hours of research for making this video. Obviously, as you can see, the presentation itself of what you're seeing on the screen right now, or what you're going to see throughout this video, that took a while in and of itself. So this was not an easy video to make, but it's a video that I wanted to get out there for real NBA fans, for casual NBA fans, and everyone in between, to explain my thoughts on this from someone who's watched both guys play. I've gone back and watched a ton of Michael Jordan's career. Obviously, I'm only 17, almost 18 years old, so caught the very end of Michael Jordan's career, but certainly not his prime. And then I've seen all of LeBron James' career. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. It is an age 28 comparison. Michael Jordan had played 7 seasons after age 28. LeBron James has played 10 seasons. And this is a debate based off of skill. It's not about who's the better guy. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, LeBron's a douche because he hosted the decision. That's not what this is about, because if you're going to go into that, Michael Jordan ran around on his wife, was a degenerate gambler. It really doesn't matter, because that has nothing to do with sports. I don't care about most athletes. I really don't care about any athletes off the court, off the field, whatever. Obviously, I don't like to see when athletes are running around killing people like Aaron Hernandez. That's not something I like to see. But for me, your personal life is your personal life. We don't care about Michael Jordan, LeBron James because of what they're doing in their marriage life. We care about them because of what they do on the basketball court, and that was all that was taken into account in this video. And I didn't take into account the ridiculous stuff said about LeBron James. There were actually people that said after he won his second ring about a month ago now that LeBron James partied too hard after he won his ring, with the face that he made for the cameras and dropping the Lil Wayne reference of I ain't got no worries after he won. How the hell can you party too hard when you work your ass off, battle down from 3-2? I don't understand how you could possibly think that someone partied too hard or went over the top with their celebration. There is no over the top when you win a championship. You are at the pinnacle of sports when you do that. There's no over the top. I did not take into account flopping. I know that and complaining to the ref. I know that people hate when LeBron James does both of those, but I think it's a product of the era that he is in. Had he played in the 90s, I don't think we see him do that as much. And does Michael Jordan play now? I think he probably does flop. I think it's a strategic thing used in the game now. As much as we don't like it, I think that that's what it is. So Michael Jordan 7 seasons, LeBron 10 seasons. The original comparison you're going to see is the MVPs. Michael Jordan had 2 MVPs, 2 league MVPs at this time. Remember, you're still catching Magic Johnson, Larry Bird at very, very good points of their career. LeBron James has had 4 MVPs. At the same time, LeBron James has been in the league with some very good players. Dwayne Wade, even before he was on the same team as him. Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, Dwight Howard, Kevin Durant. So there's been some NBA legends, maybe not to the magnitude of a Michael Jordan or of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, but there have been some NBA legends in their primes at the same time that LeBron James was in the NBA and competing for some of these MVPs. So Jordan, after 7 seasons, had 1 NBA title. After that 1 NBA title, though, at age 28, he went on to have 2 more in a row, and then after coming back, he took a 1-year absence, played in the MLB, came back at age 32, did not win one, and then went on another three-peat. So he ended up with 6. LeBron James, after 10 seasons, LeBron James ended up with 2 NBA titles. And again, it's an age 28 comparison. So in the amount of seasons, in 10 seasons, Michael Jordan ended up having 3 NBA titles, I believe. LeBron James will only end up having 2. So that's something that you need to take into account, I guess. But to me, it's just strictly what we're doing right here is an age 28 comparison. LeBron James had 2 Finals MVPs. Michael Jordan had 1 Finals MVP. And the one thing I want to do, Michael Jordan at this time had a 1-0 record in the NBA Finals. LeBron James has a 2-2 record in the NBA Finals, having lost at age 22 to the San Antonio Spurs in 2007, and then losing again at age 26 to Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks, which he choked in, and we'll get to that more later in the ramifications that it does have on this debate. And then LeBron obviously has now won these back-to-back NBA titles, and people will say that Jordan has an unblemished record in the NBA Finals, and that's true, and certainly, especially with the performance LeBron James had in his first 2 NBA Finals, I would never make the case that LeBron James performed better, or when it's all said and done, will be a better NBA Finals performer than Michael Jordan is. That's not what I'm trying to do by saying this, but what I am trying to do is you take into account that A, the team that LeBron James was on when he went to his first NBA Finals, and B, the fact that he went to the NBA Finals. That was in his 4th year. In Jordan's 4th year, he lost in round 2 of the NBA playoffs. So which one is a more impressive season? Is losing in the NBA Finals or losing in round 2 of the playoffs? And once you allow yourself to think about that, it really doesn't make sense why we penalize in comparisons, why we're penalizing LeBron James for going to 2 NBA Finals when you compare him to Michael Jordan, who was going to make him some pretty good playoff runs. Again, early on in his career, he did not have great teams. He was probably in his prime earlier on than LeBron James, but he was not playing on great teams, and LeBron James wasn't either, but LeBron James went to the NBA Finals with Cleveland. Obviously, he was playing on a pretty good team at age 26, but my point is that if you go to the NBA Finals twice, isn't that more impressive than losing in the playoffs? That to me is just something I want you guys to take into account throughout this debate. Now, I'm going to go through a chart. This is courtesy of Fansided, a chart that I want to discuss, and it's each age comparison, what they did each season. So at age 19, Michael Jordan was playing at North Carolina. LeBron James was in his rookie season. Impressive rookie season. He did not make the playoffs. Age 20, Jordan in Carolina. LeBron James, again in his second season, did not make the playoffs. 21 was Jordan's final year at North Carolina. They won the national championship in his junior year. He was also a member of the USA team that won gold that year. LeBron James made the playoffs for the first time, but lost in round 2 of those same playoffs. So he got his first taste of the playoffs that year, while Michael Jordan ended up winning a gold medal and a national championship in the same year. At age 22, in Michael Jordan's rookie season, he lost in round 1 of the playoffs. LeBron James, at age 22, lost in the NBA Finals to the San Antonio Spurs. So it is a difference because Michael Jordan is a rookie, but at the same age, LeBron James is going to the NBA Finals. Michael Jordan is losing in round 1 of the playoffs. Age 23, Jordan and his Bulls again lost in round 1 of the playoffs, while LeBron and the Cavs were upset in the second round of the playoffs. Age 24 was really the age where people were starting to get on LeBron James a little bit because he had become probably, if not the best player in the NBA, it was well recognized that he had the best skill set and was the most talented player in the NBA at that time. And people really began to get on him. He lost in the Eastern Conference Finals that year. He had an incredible series. He made that Game 2 winning shot, averaged nearly 40 points against the Magic, but his team individually lost that year as Jordan lost in the first round of the playoffs that year. LeBron James did win his first regular season MVP that year, Michael Jordan won his a little bit later, but the thing about LeBron James is that early on I think we're clouded a little bit. When LeBron James lost in 2011 to the Dallas Mavericks, we had a hazy memory about what he did in Cleveland. Besides going to that NBA Finals, he balled in some of the series that the Cavaliers ended up losing to no fault of his own because guys like Mo Williams, Delonte West, guys that had stepped up and helped them get through the regular season did not produce the same way in the playoffs, and that was really the issue that they ended up having. So, again, take all this stuff into account. At age 25, Michael Jordan won his first regular season MVP. He lost in the second round of the playoffs. LeBron James won his second straight MVP that year. It was his final year and his least impressive year in Cleveland in terms of what he did in the playoffs. He pretty much gave up against the Boston Celtics in what ended up being his final season as a Cleveland Cavalier, at least to this point. Who knows what he does when he can opt out after next season, but to this point, that was his final season with the Cavs. Now, age 26, Michael Jordan got to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time and lost. LeBron James that year got to the NBA Finals and choked in the NBA Finals. So at that point, LeBron James, including that 8-point game, put together one of the biggest disappointments in NBA history. He really set himself up to fail because if they did not win an NBA title with what was considered at that time an unbeatable team because you teamed up two of the best superstars, I think as we've gone along over the next few years, we've realized that it's not necessarily an unbeatable team just because you team up a few superstars. But at that time, had LeBron James stepped up and even averaged like 22, 21 points in that finals, they win because Dwayne Wade had a great series, but LeBron James only averaged 17, had an extremely disappointing series. The next season, though, while Jordan lost at age 27 in the Eastern Conference Finals, LeBron James won his third regular season MVP and won his first both Finals and Finals MVP while leading Team USA to gold. And for the record, he was named the Real Sports Talk Athlete of the Year that year, SI Sportsman Athlete of the Year. Pretty much every award that you can get that year, LeBron James got, and he really broke through and won the NBA Finals. At age 28, however, Jordan broke in, won his second league MVP and his first Finals and Finals MVP with Scottie Pippen. LeBron James, at age 28, the season that we just finished seeing, LeBron James was able to overcome a 3-2 deficit to the San Antonio Spurs, Tim Duncan and the San Antonio Spurs, and with the help of Ray Allen and Dwayne Wade, get his second straight Finals win and Finals MVP, while he also added in his second straight and fourth overall regular season league MVP. So that is the comparison if you look at it on a chart. The problem is, those are team comparisons, what they did as a team. And while they're both the best players on all those teams that I discussed, that doesn't necessarily tell you enough of the story for you to grasp the entire comparison and understand Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to break through stats of what they did in both the regular season individually and in the postseason, compare them, and that should give us, I think, a little more of a better understanding of the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James comparison. The one thing when comparing these stats that I think people forget when we do these debates is that no one is saying that LeBron James, in terms of impact, is going to pass what Michael Jordan did for the league and helping brand it worldwide. That isn't going to happen, and I don't think anyone that understands the game of basketball and the history of the game believes that. I think that when we're talking about player comparisons, though, that's when I think there are people that believe that LeBron James can pass Michael Jordan. There's stats for offense, there's not stats for defense, which is why defensively I'm going to break that down a little bit more later in this video. Certainly that's not something you can just leave out of this type of comparison, but statistically there isn't a stat for defense yet. And whenever someone creates a stat for defensive efficiency, it'd be very opinion-based, I guess, but whenever someone creates some sort of stat for that, they will be the biggest genius since whoever created wins above replacement, probably even bigger. But regular season stats, I went through LeBron James. Obviously this part's easy because it's his career numbers to this point, to age 28, and did all their stat lines compared. Michael Jordan, I had to go back through and get out the old calculator, aka get out the iPod and open up the calculator app. And what I did was I averaged out all his stats through age 28. So this is their regular season stats. Jordan averaged 31.5 points per game, including a season where Michael Jordan averaged 37.1 points per game in 1986. While shooting 1986-87, while shooting above 48%, which is absolutely incredible. LeBron James, I mean, he did not do what Michael Jordan did once or twice in his career. Through the first 7 seasons, he has averaged over 30 points. That was in 2005-2006 when he averaged 31, and then 07-08 when he averaged 30. The thing about LeBron James, though, is as he's joined Miami, and I think naturally as his career's developed, he has become more efficient, and he's taken less shots, and with Dwayne Wade on his team, I think his scoring numbers have gone down. I don't think there's anyone that doesn't think that LeBron could be averaging anywhere between 29 and 33 points per game at this point, but he just doesn't need to. He said that that is not his role, and I think that that's smart at him because it really is not his role on that team. He's averaged 27.6 points per game. Assist-wise, Michael Jordan averaged 5.5. LeBron James, this is where this debate gets interesting because Jordan did get Pippen at the very end of this 7 seasons, I believe, and then LeBron James, I believe Jordan got Pippen in the 7th season that he was in the NBA. So for 1, maybe 2 if I'm wrong, give me a little leeway there. But he had Scottie Pippen. Before that, really not a very good team around him. LeBron James probably had a worse supporting cast in Cleveland, though, especially early on. And some of the things that he did while he was not efficient, while he was not a great overall basketball player, the athleticism that he had kind of changed things in the NBA, and he had 6.9 assists to 5.5 from Michael Jordan. LeBron James has always been a guy, even as his shooting has gone from shooting 41% originally to shooting almost 57% last season, LeBron James has been a guy that likes to get his teammates involved. He said after winning his 2nd ring that he gets as much of a kick out of getting his teammates involved as when he is able to score. So that's the assist points or assist portion. Michael Jordan averaged 5.9 rebounds through the first 7 seasons. LeBron James through the first 10 averaged 7.3. Now, through the first 7 seasons, it's kind of difficult because LeBron James came in at age 19, so while he does have the 10 years to age 28, Michael Jordan's averages could very well be better because of the age that he was playing at. That's something to take into consideration. At the same time, though, LeBron James has had more time to work things out in the NBA. He's had more time to develop into a better player. And one of the reasons that I think LeBron never will pass Michael Jordan is that Michael Jordan came into the NBA and immediately was efficient, immediately was a very good on-ball defender. And LeBron James is always a very good defender, but he was not efficient. He shot 10 percentage points lower than what Michael Jordan did in his rookie season, 51, almost 52 compared to 41 for LeBron. And Jordan did that while averaging 28 points per game. LeBron averaged 20, almost 21, and was probably playing in an era where it was weaker defensively. Now, I know I'm not talking about defense. I'm not done going through the regular season statistics yet. But the one thing I want to discuss real quick is the hand-checking element to basketball and what it means. LeBron James has never been in the NBA when hand-checking was allowed. So offensively, shooting threes and getting to the rim, probably a little bit easier, especially also because of the defensive 3 seconds. Michael Jordan, on the other hand, played in an era where it's harder to shoot threes, which is why in a second you're going to see his three-point percentage is well lower than LeBron's, despite the fact that LeBron was a terrible three-point shooter early on. And Michael Jordan also had to work harder to get inside and get his shots, which is what makes it all the more impressive that he's averaging 37, 35 points per game, the field goal percentages that he was putting up. So that's something, again, to take into consideration when we're talking about this. Now, three-point percentage, I thought about this prior to this. I'm like, Jordan's going to end up blowing LeBron James away, which is not what ended up happening from three-point percentage. Michael Jordan, A, did not shoot nearly as much from outside. He did not settle. He'd rather get to the rim or get to a jumper. And B, again, it's a different era, different rules. And Michael Jordan had a 23% three-point percentage through the first 7 years. LeBron James had a 33.7 three-point percentage through the first 10 seasons to age 28. So again, LeBron's numbers for his era, they're not all that impressive, but it does blow away what Jordan did. That obviously, I think in my mind, has a lot more to do with the fact that just the era that they played in. I think that LeBron has become a much improved shooter, but early on, I think he put himself in a bit of a hole that he's going to spend the rest of his career climbing out of. Now, field goal percentage-wise, this is actually extremely impressive. Jordan's at 51%, which for his era, for the first 7 seasons of an NBA career in his era, is ridiculously good. LeBron James, though, is at 49%, and if you think about where he started from being a guy that we said couldn't shoot, even though he shot 47% in his second year, never shot lower than 47% after the 41.7 in his rookie season, he was still not someone that had a reliable jump shot until very recently, and he is someone that, even though he has that reliable jump shot now, sometimes I think he gets in his own head about the jump shot. I think we saw it early in the NBA Finals this year, is that he needs confidence, and Michael Jordan, confidence-wise, blows away LeBron James mentally in terms of mental strength and what they have. Now, LeBron James, 49% through the first 10 seasons. I think it's way better than anyone anticipated after his rookie season. And I think by the time it's all said and done, Michael Jordan ended up with a 49.7% field goal percentage for his career, so pretty much 50%. And had he not played those last 2 seasons with the Wizards and 94-95 with the Bulls, he had a rough shooting year. I think had he not played some of those years, the percentage would have been up. But I mean, he did play those years, so it's something that you got to take into account. I think when it's all said and done, the pace that LeBron James is on now, the fact that he does kind of pay attention, he doesn't shoot last second half court shots anymore, he tries to keep those percentages up. I think looking at the numbers he's put, 4 straight seasons over 50% shooting now, and one of those included a 56.5 shooting percentage, which I would be shocked if he tops next year or even gets close to. I think he's going to end up with a better career field goal percentage than Michael Jordan. That's my guess, but we will see. Now, postseason-wise is where things get interesting, because I mentioned the fact that LeBron James was going to NBA Finals and Michael Jordan was losing in the playoffs, and in a lot of people's mind, we penalize LeBron James for that, which, like I said earlier in this video, I don't agree with. Through the 7 seasons, Michael Jordan had played in 70 playoff games. Through the 10 seasons to age 28, LeBron James had played in 138 playoff games. And you don't have to be a math genius to know that that's pretty much double the amount of games that LeBron James is playing. If he had played 2 more games, he would have played exactly double of what Michael Jordan had played in his NBA career in the playoffs. LeBron James has played a season and a half in the playoffs approximately, and Michael Jordan has played just under 1 full season in the playoffs. So these stats are going to be different. I think that when you take into account the ages they're at, the teams that they're playing on, it's an interesting comparison. Postseason wise, the scoring points per game, LeBron James had 28.1 points per game, Michael Jordan had 35.4 in the 63-point game, I believe against the Knicks. That didn't hurt too much on that. 6.8 assists per game for Michael Jordan as compared to 6.7 for LeBron. So basically the same there. 6.6 rebounds for Jordan, 8.6 rebounds for LeBron. And people in the comments are going to say, well, LeBron's bigger, he's closer to the hoop more, he was playing in an era where you don't have defensive 3 seconds, he should have the higher number. And they would be right in that sense, but at the same time, I'm not going to leave that off the comparison. So I think when people make the case that, well, if Michael Jordan was as tall as LeBron James, or if LeBron James was Michael Jordan's height, he wouldn't do this. He's not. So it doesn't matter if this situation's not happening. So it really doesn't matter. 40% 3-point percentage for Michael Jordan compared to 32 for LeBron. The 1 year Michael Jordan did have that, though, and that's kind of the problem with the way I did this, is I just went through the years in the playoffs. The 1 year Michael Jordan only shot a few shots, and he shot 1,000 because he was getting to the hoop more and not settling. Now, LeBron James, 32, is pitiful, and I think it shows how much he was settling, especially in the 07 finals against the Spurs, as compared to Michael Jordan, who's getting into the hoop, and Michael Jordan got it earlier, and that's the thing that will, in my mind, set them apart. Even if LeBron James' last 10 years of his career are as good as Michael Jordan got to his dominance much earlier than LeBron James did in his career. Now, playoffs-wise, postseason-wise, in the field goal percentage category, 49 for Jordan, 47 for LeBron. So, Jordan's numbers are better. At the same time, Jordan did not play in as many games, and if you put Jordan through the test that LeBron has been through, nearly double the amount of games, obviously some of those numbers are going to come down. The chances he's going to average 35, probably not likely, but I would still think he would average over 30, probably beat out LeBron. Assist-wise, I think you're going to be close to the same. Probably LeBron gets a slight edge there. Rebounds, LeBron gets the edge. 3-point percentage, it's going to come down for Jordan, but he began to become a better 3-point shooter, and he really didn't do it a ton, but 4 or 5 years in is really where he became a better 3-point shooter. And for Michael Jordan, I think you're going to see, had he played the amount of games that LeBron James did in the playoffs, I think Michael Jordan does end up with a better number, and then field goal percentage, they're going to be nearly identical. So that, again, does leave some stuff out, but that's what they did in the playoffs comparatively. LeBron James had some rough moments with the choking in the NBA Finals, with the quitting on the Cavs. At the same time, he had some great moments. So the 25 straight points against the Pistons to end the game, the fact that he ever got that Cleveland Cavaliers team to the NBA Finals is one of the greatest feats in NBA history. So there's different stuff to take into account. And then you look at Michael Jordan, and you think that comparatively, he really did not have a great team through the first 6 years either. And that's something that people do forget. At the same time, he has 6 NBA titles. He won 1 of those through the first 7 seasons and to age 28. So it isn't like Michael Jordan won his rings. I mean, statistically, Michael Jordan's stats went down and he won more championships because the Bulls were able to surround him with better players. People are going to make the case in this video, and these are the type of comments that just make this a stupid debate. People are going to say, well, Michael Jordan didn't have to leave his town and go team up with another Hall of Famer to get a ring. Well, no, he didn't, because they brought him another Hall of Famer in Chicago by bringing him Scottie Pippen. If Scottie Pippen comes to the Cleveland Cavaliers, do you think LeBron James is leaving? Probably not. I mean, it's a different era. Free agency is completely different than it was then. But, I mean, Scottie Pippen is one of the greatest defenders that's ever played in the NBA. He was a Hall of Famer for a reason. And I think that is not something I really want to see in this comparison in the comments. But you're free to leave whatever you want. I can't control what you leave in the comments. But I think when you're talking about that, that's something you should take into account. Now, defensively is where things get interesting. Because on ball, I'm taking Michael Jordan. On the perimeter, I'm taking Michael Jordan. But as I mentioned with the hand checking earlier, while it made it easier offensively, it makes it more difficult defensively. Which is why I'm impressed by what LeBron James has done and been able to do, and if you put him in the 90s, while there's other parts of his game that might go down, his defense, I think, goes up. He would have to get tougher. There's no question he's a product of the era that he plays in, a much softer era than the 90s and late 80s with Jordan and mid-80s, whatever. He's a much softer player, and his style currently wouldn't suit that for him to play at the level that he does now. But I think if he's in that era, things are different. The same as if Michael Jordan's in this era now, things are different. Probably be averaging more points. But defensively, I think on ball, I'm taking Michael Jordan. But the versatility factor is where LeBron James gains major points in this debate, is how versatile he can be. The fact that he can play all 5 positions defensively. He might not be as good on ball, but in the post, at least in this era, LeBron James can go down and play the 4 and the 5, which is extremely valuable. It helped the Heat to get past the Pacers in the playoffs in two seasons ago when Chris Bosh was out for about half the series, a little more than that. And you can't put a price on that. I mean, Sports Illustrated did an entire issue about the different phases of LeBron defensively, how he can play all 5 positions, and the versatility, that's the one thing that LeBron James has over Michael Jordan, I think. Offensively, people really overlook what Michael Jordan has done. People really overlook the points, the fact that Michael Jordan was dishing out assists too. Maybe not at the level of LeBron James, but he was dishing out assists. He might not have been rebounding quite at the level of LeBron James, but he was pulling down rebounds. And people seem to forget that. I don't think it's like LeBron James is so much more versatile offensively than Michael Jordan. I don't. Defensively, I think you can make that case. Again, I would take Jordan on ball, but if I need a whole team, then you have LeBron James. So I think it comes down to, are you actually comparing the players individually, or are you saying, well, if I'm starting up a franchise on NBA 2K tomorrow, am I taking Jordan through the first 7 or LeBron through the first 10? Now, LeBron's gotten bigger since early on in his career. The rookie LeBron James is probably not going down in the post to defend 4 and 5s because he was scrawnier than he is now. He's huge now. He's 6'8", 250. He came in the league at age 19, was not done growing. I don't know the exact weight, but it was well under 250. So there's a ton that you have to take into account, and that's why when I see these charts, for a while after the NBA Finals, I wanted to do this video, but I saw so many of these charts just trying to dumb this down. SportsCenter and ESPN constantly do this, and it just makes us all stupider as sports fans, is when you see these charts just comparing rings, MVPs, and whoever has a higher number, that means they're the better player. You cannot just judge that, look at a chart for 2 minutes and have a fair comparison. You need to watch the players. If you live in this era now and you have not watched enough of LeBron James objectively, you need to go back and do that. If you live in this era now and you didn't get to see Michael Jordan, then you need to go back and watch Michael Jordan like I have. That's the way this becomes a fair debate. And it becomes a fair debate when you take out all the BS on the side. You take out the decision. You take out Michael Jordan being a gambler. You take out all that stuff, all your personal feelings, and you watch the games, you watch whatever, and you go ahead, do some research on statistics like I have, do some research on some of the awards that they've won. I'm not saying that rings and MVPs aren't important, but you cannot simply just look at a chart and know who's a better player. You can't. You got to do a lot more research than that. And that's why when I hear people talk about it, I'm 17. Either people my age either hate LeBron or think he's the greatest player of all time, and I fall somewhere in between. I love watching LeBron James. I will be the first to tell you. Just like I love watching Kobe Bryant, just like I love going back and watching some other NBA legends such as Michael Jordan. I love watching greatness. I'm not someone in sports who roots for underdogs. I would much rather see Tom Brady and the Patriots in the Super Bowl every year than see Joe Flacco. I'm sorry. And I enjoy Joe Flacco. I like his game, but I'd much rather see the all-time greats in the big games and watch the all-time greats. I don't have hate for people that are legends. And in LeBron James' case, that's how I feel. In Michael Jordan's case, that's how I feel. And I put aside the fact that I really like LeBron James, and as a person, I think Michael Jordan is a douchebag. I put that aside, and I compare this. And I also put aside the fact, I'm trying to think all the excuses people use against these guys. I went through all the stuff with LeBron, with the decision, with leaving Cleveland. All that goes hand in hand. The other thing is that Michael Jordan owns the Charlotte Bobcats. He's a terrible owner, terrible talent evaluator. We get that. He does stupid commercials for Hanes. Again, it has nothing to do with this debate. You need to put that stuff aside if you want to realistically make this comparison. So I put out my side. I think LeBron James ends up as a top 5 player in the NBA's history. I do. I think he's 5 though. I don't think he's 2. I don't think he beats Kareem. I don't think he beats Wilt, and I'm not sure if he's going to beat Magic. I think he does beat Larry Bird. I think he beats Shaq, Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, anyone else that you would want to put right in there, Oscar Robertson, Charles Barkley, anyone, Dr. J, anyone else. I think LeBron James will slide in at number 5. But I think Michael Jordan is and always will be the greatest player of all time. I think when people say that, though, some people just completely close the book, and those are the people that I don't want to hear what they have to say, because I don't close the book on it. I would love to see someone better than Michael Jordan, not because I want to see someone dethrone Michael Jordan necessarily, but just because I wasn't alive in the era that Michael Jordan played in for most of it. Certainly not in his prime, and the very little part of his prime, I'm 1 or 2 years old. So I would love to see someone in my lifetime be the best of all time. But until that happens, I'm sticking with Michael Jordan. I'm saying Michael Jordan is the greatest player that has ever lived. Give me your thoughts. If you disagree, but make me a case. I hate people that just come to these videos and leave comments, LeBron's better. End of story. LeBron's better. My favorite one, LeBron's better. Enough said. No, your ass is getting blocked if you leave a dumbass comment like that. But anyway, section215.com, facebook.com/therealsportstalk, @CashKelly_TRST on Twitter, KASHKelly_TRST. Please subscribe, guys. This video, I mean, it's I don't know how long I've been talking for, but I know it's been a while. I know it's going to take me a while to put this together, and it did me a while to do the research. It took me a good 4 or 5 hours all together, and then uploading it's going to be a bitch too. So make sure you subscribe, share this, help a brother out, and everybody loves to have this debate, whether they admit it or not. Everyone will watch this video and enjoy it, or at least leave a stupid comment like Jordan's better, enough said.